Welcome back. Welcome to this video where we would be discussing about a wide variety of puzzles related to for loop, while loop, and also we'll look at a couple of keywords called break and continue. What are they and when can you use them? Let's get started with the most basic of the ones. For I in range 1, 11, 2, print I, end is equal to space. What would be the output of this script? Let's run this and find out. It's printing 13579, right? We saw that range function accepts a step parameter. So it starts with 1 and at each increment, it increments by 2. So 1 plus 2 is 3, 3, 5, 7, 9 and 11 is exclusive. So 11 is not really printed. Cool, right? So now let's look at the next one. Let's comment this one out and start the next one. So for I in range 11, 1, minus 1, print I end is equal to this. What would be the result? It's easy to guess, right? It starts from 11 and prints only up to 2 because 1 is exclusive. If you want to print up to 1, you have to make it 0. Cool. Now let's comment this, control command slash, and uncomment this puzzle. What would be the output of this? Think about it. Pause the video in here and think what would be the output of this be. Let's run this. It just prints done. So while I star I, 5 star 5 is 25, 25 is less than 10. Nope. So this code is never executed. So it directly prints done. Isn't that cool? Let's uncomment the next puzzle out. So I is equal to 2, while I star I is less than 10, print I and is equal to this, print done. Pause the video in here, try and think what would be the output is, and let's now run it. Oops, it's printing 2 continuously. Let me stop this. Aha, I had to click it multiple times before it got terminated. The reason why it was running like that was because we had I is equal to 2, while I star I is less than 10. So 2 star 2 is less than 10. 2 star 2 is 4. 4 is less than 10. Yes. So we kept printing it, but we did not really have a increment. Let's fix this, right? So I'm doing I is equal to I plus 1. Will this work? Pause the video in here and try and think about it. Will this really work? The answer is no, because this I is equal to I plus 1 is not considered to be part of the while loop. If you really want it to be part of the while loop, I have to indent it. So I'm leaving 4 spaces to indent it at the same level as print. And now when I run it, you would see 2, 3 and done. So what happens is first time it executes the loop, 2 into 2 is less than 10. That's cool. So I is printed, 2. I is incremented, 3. 3 into 3, 9. 9 is still less than 10. So 9 is printed. Actually, 3 is printed. And then when it becomes 4, 4 into 4 is 16. So this condition is not true. The next line is printed and we print done. Now, let's look at a new puzzle with a new keyword which is present in here. There's a break in here. What we are doing is for I in range 1 to 11, I'm saying if I is equal to 5, break. And we have a print I end is equal to this. Let's also add a print done at the end of it. So what would be the output of this program? One of the things you need to understand is the break keyword. So the break keyword actually breaks out of the loop. So if this condition is met, what the break does is it will take you out of the for loop completely. So what would be the output of this program? Let's run it and find out. It prints 1, 2, 3, 4 and done. Because what happens is with 1, I is printed, 2, I is printed. This condition does not match, 3 does not match, 4 does not match. With 5, this condition matches. So break is called and we get outside the for loop. So we get out of the for loop and start executing line 24, and that's where done is printed. Let's look at the next puzzle. For I in range 1 to 11, if I mod 2 is equal to 0, break. What would happen? Let's run this. It's printing 1 because 1 mod 2 is equal to 0 does not match. 2 mod 2 is equal to matches, and you go out of the for loop and it prints 1 and it gets out. So when this condition matches, we get out of the for loop. Now I'm changing this code a little bit. Now I'm saying if I mod 2 break, what would happen? Let's run it. Aha, you don't really see any number being printed. The reason is because, as we discussed earlier, any non-zero number is considered to be true. So when I is 1, 1 mod 2, what's 1 mod 2? What's the remainder when 1 is divided by 2? It's 1. So it returns a value of 1. So we break out of the loop inside the first loop itself. So this print never gets called. So we print done and get out of it. Let's see what would happen if I had a range of 2 to 11. Think about it, what would happen? Yep, it prints 2 because 2 mod 2 is 0. So 0 is false. So the print is executed because the break is not called. However, when I becomes 3, 3 mod 2 is 1. 1 is considered to be true. So the break is executed and we exit out of the loop. Now, in this puzzle, we are introducing you to a new keyword called continue. In this code, what you see is for I in range 1 to 11, if I mod 2 is equal to 0, then we say continue and we print I. What do you think will be the output? I'll give you a clue. What the continue does is it skips the code inside the for loop after the continue. So after the continue, whatever lines of code are present in the for loop, they are skipped and you would start the next iteration of the for loop. Break would actually take you out completely to the next statement, so it would take you to print done. However, what continue does is it will skip only this print and it would go to the next value of I. Pause the video in here and try and think what would be the output. You'd see that it's printing 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 and done. The reason is because when I mod 2 is equal to 0, we said continue. For all the even numbers, this condition will be true, and so they are all not printed because continue is called. When continue is called, when I is 2 and continue is called, I becomes 3 and the next line of code is not really executed. Now, what would happen if I remove is equal to 0? Let's run this. It prints even numbers only, because when is I mod 2 true? I mod 2 for odd numbers, I mod 2 would be a value of 1. So this would be true and continue would be executed. So for all the odd numbers, continue will be executed. So those will not be printed. For even numbers, this will return 0. If 0 is false, so continues are not executed. So the print statement is executed. The last puzzle we'll be looking at is exactly a modification of the earlier one. Instead of I mod 2, we wrote I mod 2 not equal to 0. What do you think will be the output? Yep, you are right. No change in output, because this is exactly the same as this. I mod 2 is not equal to 0 is the same as I mod 2, because if I mod 2 is 0, then if I mod 2 will be false. If I mod 2 is 0, then I mod 2 not equal to 0 also will be false. One of the things I would recommend you to do is to try and type in these puzzles and try and do them on your own. I think one of the best ways to understand what's happening behind the screens is to do a lot of playing around, try and change a lot of code, try and play around with it, and try and see if the output matches what you think it will be. One of the other things you can do is also try and debug to make sure that you understand exactly what's happening. Loops and conditionals form the most basic elements of programming. In this section, we looked at loops, we did a number of exercises with loops, and we looked at a variety of puzzles related to them. Until the next section, bye-bye.